Hey YouTube, this is Jim. Uh, Working on a pretty cool little project. Actually, two projects. I have an Integra and a Honda Civic that I am currently in the process of working on. The Civic I drove for a few years. It's down at this point. Um, Kind of just put it away. It wasn't running real good. Had a little D series in it, not real fast or anything. Kind of a pile of shit at this point, but sorry about that. It's kind of a pile. It needs a lot of work. And I have an Integra that I pulled off the road a couple years ago. It was turbocharged, made a little over 600 horse, so it was a pretty fast car. It's got a Frankenstein with a turbo on it, so fairly high compression and turbocharged. But had a lot of traction issues with it. There's the car. It's kind of in a horrible state right now. It's in the process of getting a little bit of a wide body on there. Put some big old wheels and tires on the thing. Plan to wide body the rear as well. Doing it all with sheet metal, so I'm doing it the right way, in my opinion at least. I'm going to roll cage the thing. But the project I'm actually working on with it is I have a CRV that I'm going to rip the guts out of and use them to make two cool project cars. I'm going to use the bottom end of the B series engine. I have a head mate to it. Thing blew a timing belt and pretty much destroyed the top end of the motor, but the bottom end I believe is still good. We're going to pull it apart. If not, I'm going to rebuild it. If it's not good, I'll get another one. No big deal. They're kind of a dime a dozen. But plan on taking the four-wheel drive out of this thing and transplanting the four-wheel drive into the Integra. So that'll be a fun project. And then I'm putting a B series in my Honda Civic. So may eventually end up turbocharging it. I turbo everything. So that might be a project later on down the road. I'm just going to get the thing back on the road so I can play with the Civic first. And then we're going to attack the Integra. So stay tuned. There will be a lot more to come. So I managed to do something I didn't think I would. I'm able to get my wife out here working on the car. Still in the process of ripping the engine out. So I am currently in the process of pulling the engine out of the CRV. You can see I got it almost the whole way out. Just getting ready to land it on the ground here in a minute. I can't film and do it at the same time, working on my own today. But still getting further along on the project. So I've got a little progress update on the Civic / Integra build. You can see I got the CRV out of the garage. Engine was pulled, tranny was pulled, got them apart. Got the engine up on the engine stand. Now it's just a matter of pulling it apart and rebuilding the thing. Going through it piece by piece, making sure everything's good. Probably do the same with the tranny. Clean everything up, put it back together, make it go fast. So I've got the engine out, got it all cleaned up, put a little bit of a paint job on it. Came out pretty nice, I think. So it's well on its way. Working on the head. Got all the mating surfaces cleaned up. You can tell. Made some progress. So the head needs a lot more work to clean it up. Maybe put a paint job on it, I'm not sure. More than likely I will. Got to just clean up the cams and stuff a little bit more. The valve train. Just go through, re-clean it one more time. Got most of the crap out of it. But It's well on its way. Got quite a mess going. But here's all the internals out of the engine. Got the pistons and stuff sitting here. Everything's pretty much in order. I just ended up running out of space to put stuff for right now, but it's all there. But just gets a good cleanup. Everything looked really good when I pulled the engine apart. Even the pistons, although cruddy, once they're clean, they're in perfect condition, I believe. There's no nicks, no marks on them, so should be good. I'll certainly go through them and inspect them and make sure that everything's good with it before I put it back in, but so far so good. Hey guys, so I started working on the B20 head. I wasn't planning on porting and polishing this thing, but the more I thought about it, since I have the thing off and torn down anyways, I figured, what the heck, I might as well go to town a little bit on it and get it ported out and stuff. Just make it flow better, just for it makes it safer for the engine too, just because it doesn't create hot spots, stuff like that. So figured might as well go through it. Here's the ports before porting. They look pretty rough because there's a lot of carbon deposits still in there, but gives you an idea. You can see it, but you get the general idea on the shape, and you can see all the marks on the side from casting. That's what a stock B20 port looks like. And I kind of went to town on it. This is after a decent port job, I think. I'm no expert, but I've made a few engines flow pretty darn good. That one's got a little funky spot at the top. Still working on that one. It's the first set that I did. So I have some final cleaning up to do yet. You can see on the edges there's some marks and stuff still in there, but generally it's the right shape. It's mostly smoothed out, especially around the valves. Take a look at the stock ones again. You can see all the casting marks and the fact that it's just a much smaller hole generally. This is the exhaust side, so you can see the difference in the overall size. Much bigger port. You can kind of hog the exhaust side out a good bit on these guys and they'll flow like crazy. You really have to be careful on the inlet side. So this is just the exhaust side for now, so I'm not real worried about, you know, precision per se. I am and I'm not. But on the intake side, I'll take a lot more time and a lot more care in exactly how I shape the thing and whatnot. Here, we just want to get the exhaust out as quickly as possible and keep it as straight as possible. Be able to spool the turbo and to get a nice pulse going down through the exhaust for good quality flow. So you still want it nice and straight, but you got a lot more leeway on the exhaust side. But so far, so good, I think. Making progress. Here's a view from the top. Maybe you can see it. It's a little too bright, maybe, but stock. Ported. It's just a rounder shape. It's more cleared out. This is kind of abrupt. It kind of goes in and goes right into that valve. So you can imagine that would kind of stop the airflow. Sorry about the shakiness. Here it'll kind of nicely and smoothly go out and around it. So that's the beginning. Started 2. Got 2 more to go on the exhaust, and then I'll go to the intake and show you that then. Hi guys. Alright, so I've been working on the head quite a bit, doing some more port work. Got my new header flange in. Got these little pieces that transition it from the oval to a round. It's kind of nice. I usually make my pipes, I just clamp them down until they actually go to that shape anyway, but figured what the hell, I'll give this a try and see if I like them or not. Has a nice little recess in there, so was kind of happy about that. I'll replace these nasty looking bolts, but wanted to bolt it down in place and be able to finish the port job. Wow, that came out bright. So I port matched this to the header flange. I think it came out pretty good. Just finished getting it polished up. Didn't do like a final polish, but it's already pretty damn good. So I'm pretty happy with how this port came out. Looks like it's gonna flow really well. This one is not gasket matched. You can see, or matched to the flange rather, because the gasket's actually a little smaller than the flange anyway. But that's okay, because I'll port that out to match the flange anyway. But got all the cylinders ported, or the exhaust ports ported on all 4. Cleaned up pretty good. This is the first one I went through and actually gasket matched, so I thought it came out pretty nice. I'll go through and do the rest and then get started on the intake side.